I remembered for once to mute my phone before it goes off. Yay. Okay. So, looks like we have an excellent connection. And I will switch to live chat. Which appears to be working. Oh, there's my email, but I muted my phone, so it didn't scream into the mic for once, which is good. And I just need to now, since I have, 2 minutes ahead of where I plan to be, enter. Oop, enter. Here we go. Enter. 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 And I already hit that one, so enter. I didn't do one there. Enter. 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 I think we're good. Okay, Discord is covered. All right, let me quickly copy that link. Copy. And we'll jump over to the blue sky. Oh, man. I tell you, the yawning thing is really just crazy. I'm not tired. I mean, I'm not tired. And yet, there it goes. There it goes. Okay. Oh, I don't care at all. Boy, I really just, I literally just cannot care about anything on Twitter anymore. Just can't do it. Oh, I think I have to sneeze. I'm going to mute. Oh boy, that's the first time I've had a sneeze turn into a yawn. Meaning I didn't sneeze, I ended up yawning. It was really weird. It started out as a sneeze, and it's just, I don't know what my, I guess, nose did? I don't know. What controls a sneeze? Is it your nose or I guess it's your lungs. So I don't know what my lungs did. My lungs did something. They kicked in and said, nope, that's not going to be a sneeze. That's going to be a yawn, which is not something that typically happens, but whoa, my whole iPad just like flipped around on me. Okay, so let's see. I posted everything everywhere. Yeah, I did. Okay. Well, let me get a drink of water. Nobody's here yet anyway. I don't know if it was good. Nobody showed up in the last, I think, 3 or 4 streams, which is fine. I mean, maybe I'm not doing it. Maybe I'm not doing them at an optimal time. Or maybe it's the yawning. Maybe people are sick of hearing me yawning and they just don't care, which I can completely understand at this point. Jeez. I really honestly don't know what causes it. I mean, it's not like I fall asleep on the streams. Then I'd at least be like, okay, you're having a problem. You're having a narcoleptic reaction to doing an R stream, but that's clearly not the case. Okay, wait. I think this is a sneeze. Oh, yeah, that was. Okay, so the sneeze apparently didn't go away. It just moved. Weird. Okay. Well, let's, what time are we at? Ooh, 6:16. Yep, that's fine. I've waited 3 minutes. Let's get the opening going. I already checked my reflector and it's in place. And you'll see, as has changed. Sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry about the yawning. As has changed again. Oh, and I just found another one. I've had to readjust the lines again because I still didn't like the way they looked. It is maddening, and yet this is how it is. But I saw right there I don't like this one, so I need to at least do that. There we go. But that should hopefully, am I in the right? Yeah, let's do that. That hopefully is the end of that, and I can just be content. That's the word I was going for. I was going to say contemplated, but that's not the right word. I can be contented. Yeah, I think we're good now. Oh, I got to do one more there. That's what I mean every time. Just keep finding ones I have to do. I mean, whatever. It's just what it is, but it's just kind of maddening that I can't seem to get these things where I want them to be. But that's, as I've said more than once, that's art for you. The ability to get what you want to work. Oh, geez, I missed that one. There we go. Get it where you need it to be. But I think... okay, I think that's finally it. Nothing is catching my eye, which I normally, if I see a big gap, it'll do it. Nope, I think we're good. So now, the trick is I'm probably going to have to use more than 3 colors because I'm sure they're going to overlap. So I'm going to need a 4th color, I think, which I guess would have to be something in between the red and the yellow, I guess. sorry about the yawning. I really am. I'm very sorry. I'm not trying to yawn. I'm really not. I don't know why I'm yawning. All right, so let's do that. And let's see what we can do here. Actually, sorry. Let me do a bigger thing than that so I can actually see it. So that's our red. So let's see if we do some brightness on it and we do a bit of shifting like that. Okay, that's not a bad color, whatever that is. We can go with that. Okay, well, there it is. So now we have a fourth color. So now the trick becomes, okay, so essentially I have to kind of start over here. Basically, and start building all these colors back in because now I've added a whole bunch more lines, as you can see, because these obviously were not overlapped like this. And even that stuff doesn't apply. So all this goes away. That's no longer applicable. We have to build this basically from scratch. So we're going to do that. So now it should be easier to avoid overlaps, I hope. Is that this one? No, so that's this layer. Okay. So now let's go here and let's see what we can do. So now we'll do a red there. Oh man, that sneeze really screwed me up. That was a big sneeze. I am very, very happy I was able to mute the mic in time because that was a loud sneeze. I don't normally sneeze very loudly, but when I do, you would not want the mic to be on. But normally my sneezes are not what I would consider to be very loud. Oh, hello. Hello. That's my dog in the background. Of course, as dogs are very prone to do. When you want to play with them, they have no interest. The minute you're doing something, that's when I suddenly have somebody showing up with a toy. Woo! There you go. That's how they are. I mean, I don't know if every dog is like that, every breed, but certainly golden retrievers are like that. And I'm pretty sure not the only ones because I've seen videos of dogs doing that. So I think it's a doggy trait. All right, so we'll use, let's see. I'm on the red here. Yeah, let's switch to that color. There we are. So that will then go here. Well, not with that though. Let's do a thicker one than that. Keep an eye on the chat. Nothing there. Okay, I didn't think so. So now, okay. It should be a lot easier to avoid overlaps now. So we'll do the yellow goes there. Now we have a new color that we can use to separate these. So now the red can go here. That avoids that. So then we would want, let's do the red over here as well. So let's take this out. Well, I guess it's a different kind of red, so this is more like a brown now compared to that, but whatever. And let's see, let me look at this one. Yeah, let's do that here. Okay. Then we'll do the yellow again. So that'll go there, and up there. Oh, so I need more red because there's that little space there. I guess I could, I could leave that orange. I could. It wouldn't be. No, put the red. Put the red there. It'll look good. It'll look like it belongs with that one down there. There we are. Watched an interesting movie today, which I will be talking about probably next week, because the Friday show tomorrow, as of this recording, is already recorded. But it was John McTiernan's first movie, director of Die Hard, if you don't know the director's name, called Nomads. Interesting movie. I liked it. It's not particularly well loved in his filmography. And I'm not going to say it's a perfect movie, but I have to say, I liked it quite a bit. I felt it was atmospheric and different. Some of the things that people have a problem with, I didn't, which is not unusual when it comes to me in movies. But I liked it. I thought it was good. It's free to watch all over the place, I think, because it's not very well regarded. I watched it on Tubi, but it's on Tubi free. I mean, it's on virtually every ad-supported service there is, so you can find it, really. I imagine it probably is on YouTube as well, but I just watched it through Tubi because I have no problem with Tubi. I like Tubi. provides a lot of entertainment for me. And like I said, I liked it. I thought it was good. It's interesting. It's different. But I mean, you can see a lot of. I mean, Die Hard is such, because I think after this, no, I'm sorry, Predator came after this one, because Arnold Schwarzenegger saw this movie and liked it, and then wanted to work with McTiernan as a director on Predator. So it would have been Predator. And then I think it's Predator, Die Hard, and Hunt for Red October. I don't remember if that's the exact order. But anyway, watching this, I can see why Schwarzenegger wanted to work with him. Like, it's pretty obvious that there's a talent here. And it's a very interesting movie. It's described as an urban fantasy. I think that's right. And actually and these aren't really a direct comparison, so I don't want to set anybody up for quality disappointment here. But I kept thinking of Near Dark, the Catherine Bigelow vampire film, vampire western, really, that actually I just discussed with Dr. Doug Bielmeyer just a couple weeks ago. And I kept thinking of that movie because, not because of anything, again, specifically stylistic, but more just kind of the overall feel of it, just the sense of it. It's a hard thing to describe why I was reminded of it, but I was. And I got to the end of it and liked it quite a bit. Not a movie without flaws. It is not the. You can see where, or I could see where, I should say. I could see this movie being remade and improved upon. But at the same time, this is a movie where you and this isn't me saying that they don't make them like they used to, even though that's what it's going to sound like. But there are aspects of filmmaking that have just fundamentally changed, and I don't know what a modern version of this movie would be like. I would be interested. I think it would be radically different, which is fine. That's actually good. I'm happier now when movies are willing to let go of the source material for the most part and not just try to recreate it. Because I think the idea itself, and I'll give you a spoiler alert. There's nobody watching live now, so this will be in the future if you're watching this later. If somebody actually shows up and says something, then I'll be careful. But right now nobody's here, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about it because I just watched it. It's fresh in my mind. But the interesting bit of it is the idea is, I think, intriguing. What it concerns, it's Pierce Brosnan's first major film role, as far as I understand. I mean, it's interesting. Pierce Brosnan is one of those people who never looks. This is going to sound like it's a negative. It's really not. It's just an observation. He never looks all that young to me. He always looks like he's kind of in his mid-40s. I don't know why. He just always does to me. I always just picture him in his mid-40s, But he's. I mean, I'm sure he's young in this. I don't know. Actually, I don't know when he got started. So maybe he is in his mid-40s for all I know in this film. If so, then he maintained that for quite a while, really well. But anyway, it's his first big role, and it's an interesting one because he's the lead, even though he's not supposed to be. He's not the first billed actor. He's the second billed actor, I want to say. I'm pretty sure the doctor, the female doctor, is the first credited role, which usually signifies, if I understand film correctly, the lead, quote unquote. And yet, it is mostly Pierce Brosnan at different points because he starts off the movie, which this is such an interesting thing too. This is what I mean about, I don't know if they'd make it like this again. They might. But it starts off Pierce Brosnan. Again, spoiler alert. If anybody is there. If you don't want me to spoil this movie, if you intend to watch it, then speak up now, because nobody's in there as far as I can tell. I'll give this a minute. But unless I see something pop in there, I'm just going to assume nobody's there. You know what? No, I'm going to do yellow there too. But anyway, so I'm assuming nobody's there. So the movie starts out. Pierce Brosnan is brought into an emergency room and runs into this female doctor who happens to be on call at the moment, or working at the point that he's brought in, and he is flipping out, and he's speaking in French. Oh, his French accent is delightful. It's terrible because the role originally was meant for Gerard Depardieu, which I'm sure I'm mispronouncing because I don't do French very well. But anyway, very, very, very well known and beloved by the French anyway, French actor. He was supposed to do the role originally, and for whatever reason did not. And I just realized I screwed that up. I meant to do this. And Pierce Brosnan was kind of a late replacement, which is hysterical because he's doing a French accent, and it's awful. But awful in a wonderful way for me as a viewer. It's very entertaining to hear him doing a French accent when I know what he sounds like from watching him as James Bond and in other roles for a long, long time, and knowing that, what his native accent is. Oh, I can't use that color there. It overlaps. Okay, well, that color goes away then. So we will, in fact, use the red. So yeah, he's doing this French accent that is horrifically bad. And he's brought into the emergency room speaking in French because he's supposed to be French. Actually, yeah, why did I not? Oh, I know what I was doing. I want to use the red here. There we go. So I can use the red without a problem. Okay. Speaking French, as I said, hilariously so. And nobody knows what he's saying because nobody there speaks French. And there's this female doctor, and she's the attending doctor. I guess that's the word for it. And he suddenly has this, what I guess you would describe as a death spasm because he dies right afterwards. This death spasm, and he grabs her and says something into her ear in French. At which point the doctor begins to relive his last few days. So that's what I mean about then it shifts to Pierce Brosnan alive, obviously, because this is flashback material. But now it's his movie because he's running around, and he's an anthropologist who's just moved to LA. It's an LA movie, shot from what I understand on a very low budget, and so they basically were just shooting around LA at night, which works in the movie's favor. And so Pierce Brosnan is a French anthropologist who has just moved to LA with his wife. I don't know if she is or is not French. Her accent is more convincing than his, certainly, or at least maybe because I don't know her right off the bat like I do Brosnan. Maybe, I don't know, to a French person that accent may be terrible. To me, as somebody who just knows that Pierce Brosnan does not sound like that. Plus, he's doing like a high-pitched voice with the accent at points. So really, it's just a train wreck all over the place, but not, it doesn't break the movie. It's just kind of funny because if you know Pierce Brosnan at all, as far as hearing him talk, you know this is not his voice. I mean, not that they ADR'd him, but I mean that he's doing this particular type of accent and it's not working. But anyway, he and his wife have just moved to LA, and the house that they move into keeps getting vandalized, and he finds all these news clippings, with all this graffiti on them, and he sees this van that keeps driving by, and it's a van full of punks, very, very 80s looking gang, which I love. A lot of people have a problem with that. I certainly do not. Including, I'm probably going to mispronounce her name, Mary Woronov, who is absolutely stunning in this film. I mean, she is amazing to look at. And she's been in a lot of stuff. I didn't realize she was actually she's an artist and apparently hung out with Andy Warhol and has been in movies. I know her from movies more than anything else. She was in, let's see, what was she in? Delicatessen. Ironically, she's been in a bunch of things, but that's what most people would probably know her from. Or, funny enough, she's very briefly in the beginning of Chopping Mall, the 80s horror film, playing the character from Delicatessen, which is bizarre and hilarious, but she has a very distinctive face. You'd know her if you saw her. But she's one of them. And Adam Ant, the musician, is the leader of the gang, although I don't think any of the gang members, I don't think they ever talk, now that I think about it. But there are these very, very flamboyant, because they're wearing, leather and chains. It's, again, 80s gang. I mean, this is this is the most recognizable gang. If they were actually a real gang in LA, the cops would never have to worry about finding these people because they're always driving the same black van and they're dressed like they just fell out of an 80s hair metal video. It's great. So Pierce Brosnan keeps seeing them driving by, and because he's an anthropologist, he sort of becomes interested in them. At first, it's because he's pretty sure they're vandalizing his house, which he's right. But then he's following them and he's observing them, and they're behaving very strangely. The way he describes them later is that they're nomads in this, in LA, that they don't ever stop. They just keep moving. They don't sleep. They don't obey the rules of society. They remind him of nomadic people from other countries where he's gone, and you see it. He's taking pictures, and obviously he studies human behavior. And then there's a point where they notice that he's following them, and they start to mess with him, and finally at some point, because we're cutting. Oh, I just saw it. Let me get it back. Give me a second here. Because we're cutting between. I'll get a drink of water while it's coming back. There we are. So we're cutting between these flashbacks in the modern day where this doctor is possessed. Not possessed, but it keeps seeing is having visions of his memory, reliving his last days. And so there's a point, and I'm jumping because it's only about a 90-minute movie. And honestly, the mystery portion, where you don't really know what's going on with this guy. Oh, I can't see in case anybody stops in. There we go. I would say the first 40 to 50 minutes of the 90-minute movie are really just setting up Brosnan's character and trying to figure out what the gang is, because it's pretty clear they're not just a standard street gang, but at the same time you don't really know what's going on with them. You might actually start to think at one point they might be vampires, which they're not. But the way they're portrayed, again, I mean, that's why Near Dark comes to mind, is because they seem like almost a variation on the main characters in that movie, the group of vampires that are roaming around, because they just keep driving around and it's all at night. Although you do see them during the day, so that's kind of the giveaway that they're not at least standard vampires, that they might be some kind of daywalkers, if anything, or something. But they never do anything that overtly indicates that they're not human, except for the way that they kind of just roam around and behave. Indicates that, at the very least, they don't really care much about human rules. And so finally there's a point where in the modern day, because the doctor's friends are looking for her, and she had called, and from what I read, the voice is done by John McTiernan, she'd called a colleague, because she had moved from, I believe they say she moved from Boston to LA. And so she had called somebody that she knew back in Boston, who I guess spoke French, based on the fact that, he was translating for her, and was calling to tell her what the phrase that Brosnan's character, because when he died he had said this phrase to her and nobody quite knew what it meant. So she gets a phone call, and one of the other doctors that works with her that's very concerned about her, is trying to help the police find her, takes the call, and the person on the line says, yeah, the French that you, because she had tried, this other female doctor had tried to translate it for her, but she wasn't quite sure if she was getting it right, and it turns out that she wasn't. She was close, but basically it was a phrase that was referring to Inuit or Eskimo or whatever. They say Inuit, so I guess that. But I think Inuits are supposed to be the other word, or the proper term for Eskimos. I don't know, but I'll just go with what they say. They say Inuit, so let's go with Inuit. The phrasing actually refers to a demon or imp, would probably be the better phrase, I guess. These Inuit imps, or devils or whatever, that are basically mischievous pranksters. And so that's what the gang is. The gang are these again, imp is the best word I think for it, because they're not really evil in the traditional sense. They just like messing with people. They do kill people. We do see them murder some people, but that's not always their goal, which is what I feel like in a movie, if they were demons or devils, they would be explicitly out to kill people, or they would be much crueler. But instead, they really just feels like they just like to mess with people. And the end of the movie kind of bears that out, because there's a point where Mary Warnov, who is credited as Dancing Mary, because she does dance at one point, has the female doctor who has Pierce Brosnan's memories and Pierce Brosnan's wife cornered in an attic and could easily have killed them, and just kind of glares at them and then leaves. And many of the descriptions I've seen of that scene indicate that she was satisfied with just scaring them. And the scene does feel that way. So that's why I don't want to call them demons, because demon to me has a very specific meaning. It indicates an evil creature that, like a full-on capital E evil creature, which I don't feel like these things are. They're mischievous. I've seen that description. I think it's a good one. I mean, they cause a lot of property damage and they do kill somebody, but you're never really quite clear on why they kill the guy. And I couldn't tell. It was just difficult to tell whether it was a character that earlier was yelling at them and trying to injure them, so it may have been a retaliation thing. So I don't want to paint it like they never do anything that's truly malicious. They do. They do kill somebody. I think they killed this guy. It sure looks like they were stabbing him in the head, but it's not really clear what's going on. So maybe they didn't kill him. But like I said, they're not just going around and just murdering people. That's what I would expect out of demons, would be doing things that were just undeniably evil. And I don't feel like that's what these characters are. So I don't know if they're based on a real Inuit myth or not. I did not look that up. So I don't know. Although they do use a specific name for them, which makes me wonder if they are, in fact, based on something real. They could be. But the movie's really mostly atmospheric. It's really not concerned, and this was a problem for some people that were reviewing the film. They felt like the story wasn't really completely constructed. And there's definitely evidence of that. I'm not going to say it's not the tightest narrative I've ever experienced, in terms of there's some things that are a little bit loosey-goosey and not particularly well explained. I don't think it hurts the movie, but it may be less tolerable for some people than it is for me. It didn't bother me, because I really feel like what the movie was trying to do was create this sense of atmosphere and kind of tension, and I think it did that really well. And a lot of the reviews do note that in terms of that particular aspect, the creating the atmosphere and making us feel almost otherworldly at times, that the movie is successful in that. And I feel like that was really the point, because I've read that it's low budget. I don't know what the budget was, but I did read that it was a low budget film. And so if you don't have a lot of money to do effects and stuff like that, maybe because McTiernan also wrote the movie, according to the credits anyway. I don't know what the actuality of the writing was, but he is credited as the writer in the opening credits of the film. And that's one of the things is, okay, if you don't have the money to do effects, was it in the original script that he wrote, which could be, for all I know, online. I have not looked. But in the original script, were these more monstrous entities? Were there bigger things planned that, without the proper budget, would have been impossible? I don't know. That does happen. There's times where you realize, well, the budget's not going to be able to make this happen. So we have to be creative about it. We have to jettison something, which can be very detrimental to a film, depending on what your goal is with it. To have to suddenly lose, a major effect or something like that. For all I know, there was something bigger planned and it wasn't able to be done. Because there really are no effects. There's at no point do these, whatever they are, ever turn into creatures. They don't, there's everything that's done is very street level, which I think is great. I think it gives the movie this weird kind of grounding, even though, you know, I think the closest to, well, it's not really a special effect though. I think they just took pictures of nothing. I was going to say they're I'm trying. Was there anything that's really a special effect in the movie that's unusual, that's heightened? I don't think so. I can't think of anything that I would say, oh, well, there's, you know, there is a special effect of some kind that, because I mean, I would have to assume they're supposed to be supernatural. I don't, the way they're presented is magical. If it's not supernatural, it's certainly magical, because they're these, again, these prankster creatures that, because they show at one point the Adamant character, the leader, more or less. I don't know if this gang really even has a leader, but the person who appears to be the movie positions as the leader, we find out later was a killer of some kind who was dead. So this body, or this thing we're seeing, and that gets murky at points, because the Brosnan character encounters a nun in this abandoned, I guess, covenant, or no, what is the? I feel like convent. Well, wherever nuns live. Sorry, I'm terrible with these terms. Wherever nuns generally reside, there is a nun there who I'm honestly, and this is what I mean about the movie doesn't have the tightest plotting at times. I'm not clear on what that character's status was in terms of life or death. I want to say she was a ghost, but I'm not sure. And again, I don't really care. It doesn't really matter to me either way. She's some kind of presence. I don't even know where her allegiances were, because she seemed to be both working with these creatures. I think creatures would be the right term for, you know, let me look this up. This is bugging me now. Give me a second here. Let me just look up what these things are supposed to be. So, the movie is called Nomads. Nope, gotta spell it right. Nomads movie. Let's take a quick look. I saw the term on the Wikipedia page. Okay, here we go. Okay, hold on. I'm getting to it. The Street Punks in Inwatak, which are, well, there's the Battle of Inwatak. Oh, interesting. Oh, I guess they're not real. I think this is something they made up for the movie. Yeah, it looks like it. Hold on, I'm looking at Inuit religion. But I don't see creatures and spirits. Hold on. No, it's not noted, at least on the Wikipedia page. So I don't see anything. So what they are called in the movie are, let me get back to it. In the film, sorry. So in the film, Nomads movie, sorry, I know I'm derailing this, but that's okay. Nobody's here, so it's, right? No, nobody's here. It's fine. So they say they are Inwatak, demonic Inuit trickster spirits that take human form and are attracted to places of violence and death. Yeah, that's it. So that's what I mean, is that trickster spirits. Yeah, it's where was I going with that? Yeah, so I because there's points where he takes pictures of them, but they don't show up, which is vampire-like. So again, there's points where you could easily think this was going to go into vampire territory, but it does not. They are these particular types of spirits, which I actually thought they would probably turn out to be real things, but they're not. Or based, not real things, but based on actual Inuit religion or mythology, but it appears they're not. Looks like they were conjured, for the film. But then, you know, the movie goes on, and so we're seeing all this stuff where he's following them, and then he encounters this I have to say ghostly nun, because I don't think she's supposed to be alive. There's some imagery in that part of the film that it's unclear what it's supposed to be. I've seen different people interpret it different ways. I know what my interpretation is, but I'm going to hold that for myself. And you can, if you watch the movie, you can make your own decision. But I don't believe the nun was alive. I believe the nun was a spirit herself. But I don't think that at least the one that we... Now we're getting into the weeds here, but... So there's a point where we realize, or it appears, that the spirits can conjure doppelgangers of people that they... I mean, in Pierce Brosnan's case, I don't remember what killed him. I don't remember if he was shot. Let's see. Hold on. I think I still have the wiki up. Why did he die? I'm trying to remember. Hold on a minute. Here we go. Brought into the emergency room. Oh, he's badly beaten. Yeah. So, and then he dies. But I'm not... The movie doesn't make it clear, to me anyway, whether he's dying because of the actual injuries that he sustained, because you do see them beating him up, or if it is because they have possessed him. Because, oh, I just saw it go. I'm going to bring it back. It's just not clear. And I think for some people that's a problem, and they're going to struggle with that. I don't. I think it's fine. I don't have any issue with the film being ambiguous as far as what's going on, but there's one of two things that they do based on what the film shows us. One is that they create a double of a person and manifest that person for others to see. The other is that they are actually taking over the body of a person who has died from their actions, I guess, and is either reanimating that body, I mean, I guess that's what it would have to be, or has brought the person back and is now in control of them somehow, or has made them into one of them. Again, the movie doesn't really get into that. We never get we don't get a moment where a character is a professor or a doctor or an expert on this stuff and says, well, I've studied these myths, and in these myths, this is what happens. We never get that. A lot of movies, that's their way of kind of telling us the rules. We never have that. There's never a point where a expert character explains what's happening. So again, there's a lot of just, okay, you have to kind of decide what you think is going on. Not something I have a problem with. I actually have no issues with movies that ask the audience to do some heavy lifting. That's okay. I don't find that to be a bad thing. When it's done properly. I mean, it can be done badly, of course, just like anything can be done badly. But I don't think this movie is guilty of that. I don't think. Okay, that's got to be the red thing here. Yeah, it's this. At least it doesn't feel like that to me. That's not what I think. The movie is being vague about it because either there was a plan for some kind of explanation and it didn't work out, or it's supposed to be ambiguous so that you can kind of decide what you think. I don't mind that. I don't need to know every single bit of how these creatures work. I know enough, which is that they are mischievous to borderline evil. And that's really all I need. I don't have to know every bit of how this works, but it does make you, when you're watching it, go, okay, well, I'm not really clear on what this is and what's going on here, so I kind of have to fill this in on my own. So that's what I mean about I don't know for sure what the mechanism is when we see people again, because at the end of the film, we see Pierce Brosnan reincarnated or whatever, and interestingly, trapped in California. So there is some kind of physical aspect to this where these creatures, they can't just go wherever they want, because there's a point where we see the wife and the female doctor are leaving. And the female doctor says, no matter what you see, don't stop driving. Kind of a Indiana Jones type of thing where it's, whatever you do, don't look at them type of thing. Same idea. And so as they're leaving California, they get passed by somebody on a motorcycle, and sure enough, it's Pierce Brosnan, now dressed like one of the gang. Very, very specifically. And that's what I mean about, I like the fact that they have this almost comical gang attire, almost like the Warriors type of thing, because it makes it very, very clear, because Pierce Brosnan is dressed like an intellectual. You know, he's got, you know, nice clothes on, and seems like what a professor who's, you know, somebody who travels around the world studying human behavior. He kind of looks like what you would imagine that would look like. And so when you see him at the end and he's in his biker attire, it is very, very clear that he is now part of the gang in one way or another. And we did see him die at the beginning of the movie, so that's what I mean about, is this his literal body moving around? It would seem not, because you can't take pictures of these things. When he tries at one point, he takes pictures of a bunch of them. Oh, hey, Faint Waves. Thanks for stopping by. I am doing fine. I hope you are as well. Actually managed good English there for once. Or good grammar, I guess. So that's, yeah. I'm talking about a movie from 1986 called Nomads by John McTiernan. I don't know if you're familiar with it. I am spoiling it, so hopefully you either have no interest in seeing it or don't care, because I am... Oops, I just realized I put down the wrong layer, didn't I? Because I am spoiling it as I talk about it. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I'm spoiling it, because I think some of that movie is open to interpretation. So I don't even know if it's fair to say that I'm spoiling it. I don't know if I am, because maybe I'm misinterpreting the movie. It's very possible I am. I could be reading the movie all wrong, because it isn't very clear on certain things, which again is kind of something that's I like about it. It doesn't explain everything. But that's one of the reasons I do like the choice to have the gangs in very distinctive, you know, almost uniforms, even though it's just, you know, 80s street level punk uniforms, but comical. You know, not something you would actually think most people would wear, but maybe. And then, yeah, like I said, Pierce Brosnan shows up and he's in that stuff, so it's very clear that he's now one of them. But what is he actually? We don't know. It's unclear. So, I said, I liked it. Just to be honest about it, is it anything near as good as his later movies? No. I mean, it's not. The quality comparison can't even be made. I mean, to think that he went from this to Predator is amazing, really. And you know, and then Die Hard and Hunt for October. It's sort of astonishing, because you watch this and I think due to the budget, there's none of the indication of what he's going to do later. There's none of that in there. You know, except some of the camera movement and stuff. Like, you could tell he knows what he's doing. He's not a novice or anything. It's not like you can tell he knows how to make a film, but he doesn't have any of the resources or, you know, and Pierce Brosnan, who is a good actor. I like Pierce Brosnan, but he's trying to be Gerard Depardieu, however you're supposed to pronounce that. And that terrible French accent sort of buries his acting for the most part, because you just can't, especially because I do think most people probably know him from other things and would go to see this after the fact, or, you know, after they've seen him in other things. It's so hard to not notice that accent. It's just very tough to not sit there and be puzzled by it, because, again, it's his first role. At this point in his career, he would have access to dialect coaches and people who would help him get these accents dialed in, and he would not have these problems. He would have a professional helping him. But this movie, with its budget and the fact that this is his first movie, his first big role. Oh, sorry, I just nailed the mic there. Bumped into it. You know, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but I'm assuming that those resources were not available. And so he's probably trying to do a French accent and it just isn't that good at it. That's okay. Like I said, I'm going to take a sip of water real quick. I don't think it sinks the movie, but it does. To have somebody who now is so recognizable in the role, you know, at the time it wouldn't have. I mean, I think at the time, even at the time, people would have heard that accent and gone, "What? What is this?" if they know anything about a French accent. I mean, I don't really know French accents particularly well, but he sounds closer to Pepe Le Pew than he does an actual French person. That's what I mean. So I think even at the time, not knowing Pierce Brosnan, you would not accept that accent as being authentic, but you wouldn't recognize Pierce Brosnan, and you wouldn't have that problem. That particular aspect would not be there, where you go, well, not only is this accent wrong, which I think people would recognize, but it's Pierce Brosnan who's doing this terrible accent. I don't think that condition would apply when this movie came out, because people didn't know who he was. So, but overall, I would recommend it, especially because it's free. You can watch it I mean, Tubi does not require, I always say this about it, and I really do tout this as the biggest benefit of that service is they don't require an account. You can watch this thing. You can just open a browser, go to Tubi, and watch it, and they don't care that you don't have an account. That's pretty rare now. So, you can go and watch a movie like this. It is, I think I said this way at the beginning. It's everywhere on free services, because I just don't think it's a particularly well-regarded movie, and I think that's pretty unfair. I have watched far worse than this. Did I screw that up? I did. I gotta fix that. That line is no good. It's not good. Gotta fix it. It's not right at all. Oh, wait. Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. I was looking at the wrong line. Oh, well, I was right, but not about what I thought I was right about. I was right about a different line being wrong. This line's wrong. All right. That line needs to get fixed, because that doesn't look right at all. Where is that? Hold on. I gotta just trace this from out here. So if I do this... Oh, no. Wait. No. That's why there shouldn't have been a line there at all. Yeah, no. Okay. No, we're good now. Yeah, Nomads. Good movie. I liked it. Again, just to make sure I don't mislead anybody, it will not... It's not on the level of Predator. It's not on the level of Hunt for Red October or Die Hard. I don't want to make anybody think this is... that people have forgotten that this movie was just... No, it's not. It's not just as good. It's not as good as those later films. But I feel like it has a particular atmosphere and kind of feeling to it that I could see this movie being remade, actually, very easily. And this was the point I was starting to make a while ago, and I think I just completely drifted off track. But it wouldn't be made the same way. I think partially because a modern film would put more emphasis on explaining what the things were. It would just be handled differently. That's all. It would just be handled differently. And this is a movie that's less concerned about everything. It's kind of like The Keep, too. It's another movie I would compare it to. Because it's, The Keep... And I don't know how much, because The Keep was a movie that got completely mangled by interference, and it was not the movie Michael Mann wanted it to be. He was not allowed to complete the movie and release the movie that he was working on. So it's hard to know how much of what things would have been changed if the movie had been allowed to be completed the way it was intended to be. But as it stands, The Keep and Nomads do have this kind of similar feeling where you sit there and go, okay, there's things that are unexplained here, and I'm not sure that that's a big deal, but it's definitely clear that there were things that were left unexplained. And I think in this case, well, in The Keep too, I like The Keep quite a bit. Even its compromised version is, I think, a highly entertaining movie. But it is, I think if you're going into The Keep expecting it to all make sense and kind of line up, you're gonna have some holes in it. Again, because that movie, that's a whole story on its own. You can go read about that. But still, I love that movie. That movie had some effects, man. That movie has one of the most beautiful monster effects I've ever seen, coupled with a beautiful soundtrack. But if you look up, if you don't have any desire to watch the movie, search for The Keep Smoke Monster. I think that'll get you where you need to be. Watch that. That is a stunning stunning visual effect that, as far as I understand it, because the effects person who was working on the film died before the movie, I think, was done. And they, one of the things that they said is they don't know how he did it. Nobody's really clear on how he achieved the effect, which is amazing to think about. That he, and I mean, the effect is magnificent. It's so hard to, if you don't see it, it's so hard to state even what it is, but it's beautifully done. It's stunning. I mean, I watch it and I just marvel at how somebody could have made that effect happen. It has to do with the people who worked on the film, because nobody knows how he did it, which is a shame that nobody knows what that technique was, because, you know, when you see it, it's so memorable. Where was it? Oh, so the Keep is kind of comparable to Nomads in that there are things about the Keep that just, you're not really clear on why certain things are happening or what certain creatures really are. But like Nomads, I don't know how important it is. I don't know that it really matters. The fact that we don't really have an explanation of what is the name of the monster from the Keep? Oh, what is that creature's name? It has a name. Of course, I'm forgetting it now. Molasar. I think it's Molasar. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Molasar. It's something very similar to that. If I'm not getting that completely correct, it's something along the lines of Molasar. Whatever Molasar is doesn't really matter. It also doesn't matter what Scott Glenn's... Is his name Glaken? I think it's Glaken. It doesn't really matter what he is either. People have said he's an angel, or he's some kind of divine avenger or something like that, or he's just a creature that is in opposition to Molasar. Does it really matter? No. Doesn't matter. You don't really care. It's not really focused on that. That's another movie that's big on the atmosphere and the kind of the sense of the place, as opposed to a movie that holds together 100%. It certainly does not, but it's beautiful. It's got a killer score by Tangerine Dream and some wonderful Michael Mann visuals that overcome any of its problems, at least in my view. I really dearly hope at some point we get a better version of that than we can currently, because I don't think there's any high definition release of that. Not an official one. Although some people, I have seen streaming, there's high quality streaming versions of it, which are so baffling to me that there's not, I mean, I'm sure it's rights related, but you have these streaming versions that are beautiful quality and then no official release that's anywhere near as nice looking as that. Yeah, this is working out. Oh, I have to fix that though. I have overlapping colors, which is a no-no for me. So that'll fix that there, but at least it's easy to fix because now I have enough. I have 4 colors now that allows me to get around my problem. So yeah, the Keep. There's another one. Never seen the Keep. The Keep and Nomads would be a good double feature. Near Dark and Nomads would be a good double feature, but I would say if you're going to do Near Dark and Nomads, do Nomads first and Near Dark second, because Near Dark is a more complete and overall better film. But I like Nomads. I'm pretty sure I've heard of it before and sort of knew. I'm sure at some point I read about what it was and knew what it was, but I'd never actually seen it. And then I happened to be listening to, actually haven't listened to the episode on Nomads, ironically enough, but Blank Check, the podcast about movies, they were talking about it. They were not as impressed with it as I was. I don't think they disliked. Actually, I shouldn't say it like that. I haven't listened to the episode yet, so they may have the same opinion, which is, yeah, okay. This movie has some flaws, but you can also have a good time with it. But I remember they had said something like, you keep waiting for something to happen. I never really had that. I kind of, maybe because I listened to the episode where they said that, I guess I had myself in the right mindset to go, okay, this movie's not going to explain everything to me, and I'm not going to worry about that. And so maybe because I listened to that episode, I was prepped for a movie that was not going to, but even, you know what, honestly, thinking about it, even if I hadn't seen that episode and I watched this, I don't think I would have had the problem of, you know, because there isn't a big confrontation. Maybe that's what they were referring to. You sort of feel like maybe that's going to happen, but you don't ever really get a big, you know, the 2 women fight the gang thing. That never really happens. not never really. It doesn't happen. But I also don't feel like it was ever going to. That's what I mean about I don't know. I don't think the movie was ever gearing for that. I don't think that would, and in fact, I don't think it would have made sense. I don't think that would have made sense in the movie that we got, to have the women fighting the gang. And I like the ending. I do like, the fact that Brosnan is one of them now. That makes sense. This is because the movie definitely is taking this, the angle of these are not things that can be beaten. These are parts of a world that you can't fix it. These things just exist. The nun at one point says something about, the mistake. She's talking to Brosnan. She says that the mistake you made is you let them know that you could see them, and now they know about you. If you would just ignored them or pretended or made sure they didn't see you, you would have been fine. But you let them see you, and now you're in trouble. And I thought that was an interesting aspect, that, the mistake he made was letting them know that he had them. Because then she says something about it. The problem is that it's not just you. The fact that you saw them means that somebody else might know about them, and they can't have that. So there is this element of they will kill you if there's any risk that you will reveal their presence to the world. Although, I mean, if you can't get pictures of them and nobody really seems to see them at times, I don't know how much of a threat that is. But maybe it's like there's movies where certain people can see things, and maybe if you believe in them, you can see them. It's one of those kind of deals. I don't know. I just know the note says that thing about the mistake is you let them know that they exist, and now others might know, and so they're going to come get you, which they do. So, as I said, this has been a 56-minute long review of a 1986 film called Nomads. That was not really my intent when I started the stream, but hey, sometimes that's how it goes. But like I said, because you can watch it for free, and while it's not a perfect film, and it won't compare to later films by John McTiernan, I still think it's worth seeing. And it's Pierce Brosnan's first role. I think that accent. I don't think that accent got him roles later. Let's put it that way. But it's entertaining in its own way, without being distracting. It's only in the first scene. The first scene where he does it. He's pitching his voice very high, and I think he must have figured out that he was doing that, because it then gets more, it progressively kind of lowers to his normal register. But when he's got that first scene where he's talking to the woman who's renting the place to him, and his voice is really high, it is very strange. That is where it is a comical thing, where he's doing that accent, because his voice is so high up, you can't help but kind of laugh at it. And then, like I said, as the movie goes on, for whatever reason, whether it's because they noticed it or, I don't know, he still has the accent. He doesn't ditch the accent, but his voice then returns to a more normal, the voice you would expect, the register that Pierce Brosnan normally operates in. I'll put it like that. So if he had stayed in that high voice the whole time, I don't know if you could get through that. That I think would have and I think that my hunch is that somebody said, okay, it's making it sound like a joke. You have to lower. You have to come down a little bit. Is my guess. I don't know anything for sure, but if I had to guess, I'm guessing somebody mentioned it and said, yeah, you've got to tone that down because it's too high. So anyway, so concludes my review of Nomads, at least in this particular form. Now, I will be talking about it on our Friday show. Of course, if you watch this later, that Friday show will be so far back. I mean, the show notes will have it if you want to go hear it, because I do have sound clips, including, I think, that first clip where his voice is really high. I'm pretty sure I do have that first clip as part of it, because it is quite something. But like I said, I like the movie. I would actually recommend it to anybody who likes, I guess it's a horror film. It's hard to classify it. I mean, it definitely has horror elements, but I think the description of urban fantasy feels kind of like legend at times too, in that there are those supernatural elements to it. It's a hard movie to classify. It really is. I would struggle to try to really classify it for people, because I think it has this kind of unique feel to it, which I like. That's the reason I would tell people to watch it, is that atmosphere is really something. And clearly made, I mean, if you know anything about filmmaking, you know how to spot these things. Clearly made for a small budget. I mean, they were shooting in and around LA, mostly at night. They never really go too far from it. I don't think it matters, but it's very obvious it's set in LA, and it's clearly shot when they could, run around. I'm sure they had permits, but probably at times where they didn't have to spend a lot of money to block things off and, worry about closing off streets and that type of thing. So, jeez, I gotta go all the way through here. Yeah, that line doesn't look right, so we're gonna, that looks even worse. Do that. There we go. That's it. And like I said, best part is you can stream it for free on various different sites, including Tubi, which, as I have said before, I will say again now, and I will say again in the future, I applaud for not requiring you to have an account to watch things. You can watch things for free. It's entirely ad-supported, but I think it is done right by not requiring, if you're gonna, you have to watch the ads, but you don't need an account, and I think that's great. I don't know that any of the other free ones do not require an account. I mean, if you're gonna watch something later and you want to save it to like a playlist or something, yeah, then you need an account. You can't do it without that, obviously. But if all your interest is okay, I just want to watch this movie for free, then you can without an account. And I think that's great. Tubi is a really wonderful, and plus they have some movies like this that there are other movies that are trickier to find that Tubi has, but this one in particular is everywhere. But I would say, yeah, it's worth a watch. 90 minutes, not particularly long, and I think entertaining for that 90 minutes. I think it manages to it ends before it overstays its welcome, and I think that's also as far as some of the vague elements of the storyline where things aren't explained. I think if it was a 2-hour movie, you would have a lot harder time justifying that run time. It doesn't sound like a lot. Half an hour doesn't sound like a lot of time, but it can be, especially if a movie is playing things very, I don't know if loose is the right word, but casual as far as explaining stuff. Then you need to be moving quick, and I think the movie moves fast enough that you don't care. And interesting to see Pierce Brosnan, because unlike I said, a lot of other actors, he doesn't look young even when he's in his first movie. He doesn't look old, but he doesn't have that kind of. There's actors, you see them in their first roles, you're like, whoa, boy, look how young he is. I was just watching clips of SCTV, Second City Television, with Catherine O'Hara, who I've seen numerous times now in rewatches of Schitt's Creek. And, she still looks good for her age, but to see her in SCTV when she was extremely young it is so psychically jarring, because, that was a long time ago, and age is what it is. And some people age differently. I'll say it like that. Like I said, she doesn't look bad, but then when you go back and see her on SCTV, you can see that she's exceptionally young. But Pierce Brosnan, for a movie that was in '86, he doesn't look all that different than he does 20 years later to me. Lucky him. I guess it's that French biology based on his accent. Yeah. Whoa, wait a minute. Oh, I just realized I did something really stupid there. Well, no, I just have to fix it. Okay. This one I just realized I put 2 different color things on the same layer, so we have to fix that. So we have to get rid of all that. All right, and then we have to do the reverse here. So on this one, I just have to get rid of the nails. So get rid of those and get rid of that so that those stay separate. There we go. Very, very easy to do. I realized it, so that's good. Yep, there we go. All right, I'm going to finish off just this little bit here, and then I'm going to end this stream, because we've been going for a while now. And I can start to tell when my voice is not starting to go, but we'll get to a point where it won't be, I mean, not that it's ever smooth, but, you know, like everything. If you talk for a long time, then your voice eventually does start to change a bit. And before I start rasping like a frog or something, then, and plus I'm in a good spot to stop anyway. I mean, I wasn't planning on doing an 18-hour-long stream or something, so this is not a bad spot to be done with. So we'll just finish off this section, but finally, at least I have these lines where I want them, because I've redone them 3 times now. I just couldn't get them to look the way that I wanted to, and now at least I don't love them, but I like them far more than I did in the previous versions, and at this point, if I need to modify them again, I don't have to completely redo them, so that's at least a plus. If I still felt like there was some tweaking, which I've done in this stream, you see me do it with some lines, it's not unmanageable. I don't have to, again, I've completely redone the lines 3 times. I do not need to do that again. I'm in a place where if I need to adjust them, I can without it requiring a complete teardown redo of all these lines and then having to redo all the colors. At this point, it would be minor little tweaks, and that's okay. That I am fine with. Having to redo them from scratch, I would not be fine with again, because I really I would not want to have to redo all these colors again. Oh, I just realized I missed something there. That's easy enough to fix, though. Missed this little guy right here. We'll just get that in there. Okay. Oh, oh, because I'm on that. I was going to say, that should not be that large. But you know what? I need the pen because I'm very close to that other one. So we just have to go smooth against that line. There we are. Let's see. Let's do... Oh, there we go. Let's do yellow here as well, since we're already on the yellow layer. Think that would look good right there. Yep. Okay. And that would come back to... Oh, I just realized I missed that. Let's get that filled in. Here we are. That's right there. Okay. And then the yellow would come back to there. Did I miss anything else? No. Okay. Yellow is here, so we need... Yellow is this. And that would be right there. That stays orange. And finally, the final color for this evening will be this one right here. And I don't believe that goes back any further, so let's just check. It does not. Nope, that's it. So let's make sure we don't have any overlaps. Which I think we're clean on. We are. So good, good. Finally, we're getting this thing moving. So yeah, that's where we are for the moment. Well, where are we here? 1 hour and 8 minutes. Well, that's quite a while for me. I usually don't go that long. So, on that note, thank you for being here. Faint Waves, thank you for stopping in and saying hello. I appreciate it. And for everybody else, who I will assume at this point is going to be watching this later, thank you for watching this at all. It does not bother me that people don't stop by live, because I understand I'm not on the same time zone as the whole planet. So I am just thrilled that you come by at all and experience a little bit of creativity. And I would say go find somebody else who's drawing something. Go find somebody who's doing a live drawing. Oh, Jesus. Oh, I thought I clicked the stop button. I didn't. Go find somebody else who's doing a live stream right now. And go support that person. Or support whoever your favorite creator is, wherever they are, whatever they do. Supporting creators is something that we should all strive to do more of, because it is not easy making money in a creative way. So if there's somebody whose work you like, who has some kind of support mechanism, support them in whatever way you can. Even if it's a small amount, they'll be appreciative. All right, that's it. That's all I got to say for this evening. So thank you for stopping by. Go be creative or experience some more creativity. And on that note, insert boilerplate language here until I have something more clever to say.